The devil lay in the distance. He's in your six. I sold my soul years ago so I could be rich. Yesterday seems so far away. With my back against the bricks and the devil in your six. The devil in your six.
I definitely thought we would be back to New Japan at some point. I didn't know that it would be in the pandemic era and in New Japan Strong and in Los Angeles and in front of no crowd, but I knew that we'd be back at some point. So,
yeah, I think when we left in 2016, it was like that was a chapter of our career that it was time. It was time for us to go. Like I think we did everything that we possibly could in New Japan Pro Wrestling as the tag team we were with the Bullet Club, what we were doing, that era of the Bullet Club. It was just time. And I wasn't 100% sure I would ever see a New Japan ring again. And then with what all the that happened with COVID last year and everything else, all the signs that legitimately led us right back to where I truthfully believe we belong. It'll come full circle when we finally get to go back into actually step foot in Japan. And when that happens, that'll be a totally different thing, a different feel. But being able to see, some of those guys that been on the road with for so long and stepping in that ring again, nothing cooler. It's New Japan Pro Wrestling, man. They're the ones that made my name who I am, and it's pretty special.
And the devil in your six.
Yeah, it was such a hard decision for us to leave. Like besides the fact that we knew we had to leave, but I'd never had an opportunity to be on such a big scale. Like, so New Japan Pro Wrestling to me was all I knew. It was my career, it was my family, it was like it was my life. I was there for 8 years and spent every tour there for 8 years. Those guys were like brothers to me. So those last couple of days, I think we had one last match for and it wasn't Nagoya, but it was somewhere like that. And we gave the people a bow, and it got the kind of reaction you would expect because they kind of knew that the rumors were swirling that we were leaving. And that last day was special, man. Japan wrestling and Japan fans are just different, man. They respect that when they can tell that you're respectful of what they did for you. It was emotional, man.
it was definitely hard. I didn't want to go. I knew we had to go, and we all decided to go, but I wasn't ready to go. I hadn't been there as long as Karl had. So it was definitely a big deal.
And the devil in your six.
I was pretty confident that those guys were on their path, and I think they had some good growing years while we were there with them. So I was confident that everybody would be okay. I didn't realize it would continue to expand and evolve the way that it did, and still be the entity that it is. After we left, I didn't realize that it was going to continue. And here it is 2021 and we're still talking about it. So I think that it was profound in the wrestling movement at that time, which has kind of shaped the American landscape in these 8 years since. And I think that it's pretty impressive that it's still a prominent thing and we're still here talking about it. So,
yeah, there was so much growth when I got in there. I think it was around, let's just say the end of 2012. I feel like it was August, like maybe the G1 final 2012. And then I think October Ryogoku 2012. I think we had just gotten the pay-per-view at that point. I think New Japan had just literally gotten that. And that was like a start to see fans were starting to find out about what we were doing and like being able to actually see what we were doing and like seeing these sold out crowds fucking going crazy. And then I remember for sure when Bullet Club was cool, right? Like, when it was me and Gallows, me and Fale and Tama and Prince Devitt, like that was cool. But then like when Prince Devitt ended up leaving and then AJ Styles came in, and maybe the Japanese fans didn't know exactly who AJ was that first day, but AJ had his whole fan base that he brought from TNA and from the American audience that he had built, man. And that AJ Styles fan base was big, man. And I think he brought a whole lot of eyes to the Bullet Club. And that was when, and also the Young Bucks, man, when they were, people don't give them enough credit sometimes because they were so over in Ring of Honor. That when they came to Bullet Club, and maybe the Japanese fans didn't know them either, but they brought their fans with them. And so now we started to grow. And there was some big times, some good Bullet Club times, man. It's insane. And I you know, when we left too, I had a feeling, I knew they would be fine because I'd watched Kenny Omega. I knew he was going to end up taking over and being the #1 guy there. I knew Tom and Fale were going to be fine, of course, but I watched Kenny Omega have some of the most insane matches with the most insane crowd reactions I'd ever witnessed in person. And that was when he was just the junior champion. So I knew there was going to be some crazy, some really cool things that were going to be coming up.
And the devil in you sits. The devil in you
I think we always knew that New Japan was going to be something that we wanted to have on the table and wanted to be able to partake in, and kind of no matter where we went, we wanted that to be, you know, the option. And Impact allowed that right out of the gate. That was, you know, one of the first things in that conversation was being able to work for New Japan as well. But here we sit, and the world's still not all the way open yet. So coming to New Japan Strong was the next best option. I think we thought that it would have happened sooner because here we are over a year later. But also, you know, Karl's been saying it, and I couldn't agree more, that we want to return to Japan when there's a full crowd and feel that reaction, because it's going to be a big moment for the fans, for us. I think for wrestling, it's going to be cool.
That Japanese reaction, that just gives me chills now, remembering and feeling. Once the world gets rocking, it's going to be badass. And, you know, hopefully sooner or later, once everything can figure this whole thing out.
and the devil in you sits. The devil in you
We're back in New Japan to make a statement, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So
There's no way for us to tell our story without going back and taking the IWGP Tag Team Championships in Japan.
After a 19-month hiatus, New Japan Pro Wrestling returns in front of a live audience in the USA. Featuring Juice Robinson, David Finlay, Rin Narita, Shota Umino, Hikuleo, Jay White, Carl Fredericks, Clark Connors, Alex Kaufman, TJP, Fred Rosser, Brody King, Chris Dickinson, Leo Rush, JR Kratos, Tom Lawler, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, John Moxley, and more. August 14th, 2021 at Los Angeles Coliseum. Tickets on sale now.